Realism has also affected modern literature. Realism is a literary technique that was very popular in the late 19th century and early 20th century. It was a reaction to Romanticism and came before modernism. It is also closely related to naturalism, but they are definitely not the same thing. There are a couple of characteristics that set realism apart from other literary styles. It just means that the events that occur in realism literature are plausible. They sound like they could actually happen in real life. Realism is more of an everyday life sort of novel. It really focuses on like the middle class, or like not so much, it doesn't romanticize the higher class, it doesn't talk about the desperations of the lower class. It's just really average, and it talks about things that were happening in a normal person's life. And that was because back in the late 19th century and early 20th, when this was very popular, America was going through a lot of changes. It was like the Gilded Age and the Industrial Revolution, and everyone was just wanting to know what was happening in the middle class life. It was a very scientific way of looking at it, and it was sort of a way to document all the changes that were happening. This is probably one of the most important aspects of realism. Usually in stories, it's mostly about the plot. It's mostly focusing on the occurrence, like Prince Charming going after the giant dragon, and then the climax is when he's fighting it. But in realism, it doesn't focus so much on Prince Charming fighting the dragon. It focuses on what's going on in Prince Charming's head. It's more about like the inner workings of a character's mind. With realism, people aren't just happy or sad or perfect. They can be sorrowful and angry and a little bit happy all at the same time. It takes real human emotions and it injects them into a character, and it produces this life that can only really be seen in another human being. Like people aren't just 2D anymore. It's taking real personalities, real problems, real emotions, and mental issues that people might be having, and putting them all onto this one character and creating a complex human form. And usually in realism, there's this ethical problem that the character has to deal with, which is mostly about what the book is about. This ethical issue that the character is having to solve or work through in their head. It's not about the plot. Realism can be found in the popular TV series Breaking Bad by Vince Gilligan. Realism is very important on Breaking Bad. To me, realism is very important even if you are making a superhero movie. An average school teacher who's a chemist is diagnosed with cancer, and he is worried that his family isn't going to be able to support themselves when he dies. So he decides that he wants to sell methamphetamine. And because he knows so much about chemistry, he creates this blue super meth drug that everyone wants to buy. Drug trafficking is a very real problem in the U.S., and many rave about the accuracy of the depiction of the process of making and selling the drug on Breaking Bad. Of course, it's not perfect, but it's actually extremely close. Breaking Bad focuses on a true topic. It's an ugly topic, but it is, in fact, realistic. Walter White could be anyone. His last name is very generic, and I think that's for a reason. In the beginning of the series, Walter is this average guy. He's got a wife, he's got a kid. He's a little bit of a wimp, but that adds to the drama of how much he changes from the very beginning to the season finale when he's this big, tough drug lord. As for the cancer has now affected many people. It's not that uncommon that somebody you know, or at least somebody you know through someone else, now has cancer. The character of Walter White is very average Joe, and it fits the depiction of a realism character. The internal battles of the characters encompass the show. So one of the most obvious character plots is Walter White's transformation from Mr. Average Guy into this drug lord, and he calls himself Heisenberg, so it's Walter versus Heisenberg. And the very first instance of Walter White kind of becoming this character is when he kills a man in Jesse Pinkman, his partner. He kills a man in Jesse's basement. When they first catch this guy, they know they need to kill him, but Walter White keeps this man alive for a few days. He talks to him, he gives him food, has this entire dilemma of whether or not he's going to kill him. And it's the entire series is basically just moral dilemmas of the characters and Walter White struggling with not wanting to become this evil man, but eventually it's not so much about him not wanting to do bad things, it's about him losing he loses his mind a little bit, trying to keep himself in power. It becomes should I kill him or not, to how fast and how soon can I kill him to get what I want. And so problems with the characters don't go away. It's not like you just magically fix everything by the next episode. Walt's brother-in-law, he gets shot and he gets this walking disability, and the walking disability, even up to the final episode, is not completely healed. Realism has contributed to modern literature in many ways. It helps with this idea of getting inside characters of a story and making them complex and real. Unlike Romanticism, people aren't ideal in every way. Realism occurs in literature when characters' thoughts and habits show multiple sides to them. It gives them a motive and a reason that they move forward, and so they do what they do. This is something that can be seen in other TV shows besides Breaking Bad. Everyone has a motive, everyone has a thought process. Realism opened up literature to revealing the thought processes within the characters.